going on, guys? Today I'm going to tell you how I hardwired my Pontiac G6 2006. Okay, so to begin with, let me just turn on this light here. Normally, you would have these wires that come to a wiring harness, and the problem is that these GM vehicles send data through the radio, things like the fuel economy that you're getting, your oil life, things like that, and the newer cars, more advanced things. So anyways, you would have that coming off, and then you would buy a special adapter that would transfer the data, and then you would go to the adapter coming out of your radio, or whatever, or directly to your radio. Anyways, the problem with that is that I cut mine off, because I didn't care about losing the functionality of some of that stuff. I just figured I'd hardwire it up. Like, I figured it'd be like my other cars or something. The problem is that it's not. For example, there is not switched power coming out of these wires. This is the constant 12 volts, this red and white right here for this vehicle, contrary to the wiring diagrams I found online, and you need constant 12 volts going to this because that saves your settings and things in your radio, but you also need switched power. You need power to where when you turn your key to accessory, for example, it turns your amp and your radio on, turns your amp and your radio off, so that they're not constantly on all the time. Okay, so there's not switch power. I heard some people recommending going and wiring into the back of the ignition key, the wiring harness behind there. But I also found people who tried that and couldn't even start their car and having problems. So I didn't do that. Anyways, down here, this fuse box, what you want to do, we need switch power, get your multimeter, go to DC voltage. This is just a cheap meter, 30 bucks off Amazon. And then you take your black negative lead, put it to ground, just find a metal piece of the chassis somewhere, hold that to ground, and then you take this, and you see how I have some open ones. Check and see, have the key out of your ignition, check and see which ones do not have power. Take note on those. And if you can't find any ones that are empty, check the pre-existing ones by going to the little metal piece, little metal thing on it. Okay, so find the ones that don't have power when the key's out. Take your key, put it in there, turn it to accessory. Now go back to those ones that did not have power and check and see again. If you have 12 volts now, then you can use that for your switch power. So then what I did is at O'Reilly they have these out of circuit fuse things, and I saw some people who were just twisting wire around fuses down here and then going up. That's not safe, because if there is a short, you're going to burn up wire or you're going to damage your device. This thing was only $6, and the fuses are inexpensive as well. Goes up here, ran my own piece of wire up, and so now I have, this is the remote turn on for my amp, and this is the turn on for my radio. So now when the key's in ignition, turns on the amp, turns on the radio, life's good. So that is that. Also, another thing is that the wiring diagrams for these pairs, normally when they're twisted up like that, these are speakers. And how you would test this is you would take like a 1.5 volt battery or a 9 volt. You would take the end of this, connect it to each side of the battery. Doesn't really matter the polarity right now. And then your speaker is going to make a sound. And so then take note, take a piece of tape, and wire that like, okay, that's a back left speaker. That's all good. Wire those all up, and also the tweeters up front here, those are connected with the speakers down there. So now, say that, for example, these ones blew out on mine when I was doing all of this. So then how I figured out what pair that was is you're going to have to take the door panel off anyway to replace these, so you can try to match colors. Sometimes the colors are faded and bad, but you would then go to continuity on your meter, take one lead connected to the wire over here, take the other lead connected to the wire over here. If you have zero resistance, then that's the wire right there. Now, say you have your new speaker, what you want to do is take that battery and you want to connect the two wires to the side of the battery. If the speaker pushes out towards you when you do that, then that is the correct polarity. So then remember, okay, this wire coming off of the battery is this wire coming off of the new speaker is negative, this one coming off of the new speaker is positive. And so then when you go back there to make your joints up, say you have a blue and a green, you can then you'll be like, okay, I'm wiring up the blue to the positive and the green to the negative, and you write that down. So that when you come back up here to make up your joints, where the polarity does matter, like for example coming out of this head unit, you'll have a negative and a positive going to a speaker. You can remember, alright, this is my right front, and I remember I connected this color to positive, this color to negative, boom, wired up right there. Anyways guys, I hope that this video helped you. If you're just trying to rig it up real quick and just bypass all that stuff, and I just figured I'd show you guys all this stuff before I buttoned up all these panels and things. Have a good day.